Good morning, everybody. How is
Morning.
the
Good morning to you also.
Good
thank you.
morning.
Good morning, guys, gals. Another bright, cheery day.
It
At least here
is.
it's nice and sunny. It's supposed to be 97 today.
Ooh,
So
It's harsh.
I know, considering just last weekend was in the 60s. But they always say, you don't like the weather, wait a minute around this part. But it gets the corn growing.
That's important.
It is, especially if you like corn or anything.
Yeah. All right. You want to get rolling?
Yep.
Right.
Okay. So Trent, be watching out for the CPI report that comes out this morning, I believe. So
All right.
we'll see if that influences the market. Right now, we're down a little. There's supposed to be China and U.S. agreed to a framework in future trade talks, and they didn't give much as in details. So again, the market's down a little bit. We're waiting kind of for the CPI inflation report. Oil's up again, and we can see that in some of the oil stocks and XLE, the energy ETF. We also have the 10-year just down a little bit. It was up a tad right a little while ago. Come down, see if there's any NVIDIA, quantum computing, inflection point. Trump and Musk are made up. I think that's about it right now. Okay, so let's get over to some charts. Pull that down and share. All right, here we go. All right, the SPY. Again, we're right on resistance. You can't see it because that's about where we're going to open up. Again, sideways. We started moving up just a little. I'm starting to see a little bit of market structure. And I'll show you in the chart, especially under the 200. And Trent's talked about, for the last couple of weeks, how many, of the stocks, are trading under the 200-day moving average. And I'm starting to see they're still under. I'm starting to see kind of a turn. For the last couple of weeks, I've just kind of seen stocks either at their intermediate resistance level or sitting down flat. And so the stocks that were pretty much flat on the bottom on the intermediate support level are now starting to show some life. And I'll show you that, especially through our under the 200 list. The Dow, again, sideways, but just starting to point up. We were doing sideways on the Bollingers. We're starting to see a little bit of a divergence on the Bollingers on the Dow. So I'm saying the market structure could be coming back just a tad bit. We still, we're over the 200 for 4 days, 5 days on the 4 days on the Dow, but we're still under the intermediate resistance level. Qs, again, under resistance. Starting to see the Bollinger diverge a little bit. Okay, so again, the patterns what we're seeing, and a lot of this is the Qs, especially is the mags 7s. Gold again, right along resistance, just kind of sporadic, sideways moving. That's exactly where we are today, and about exactly where we're going to open. Again, you see us parallel Bollinger Bands on gold. Silver is totally different. Silver really took off like we've been watching, but came up, resistance came on, boom, boom. We'll probably move inside the Bollinger today. In fact, we're going to open up a little lower right here on silver. So again, it came up, resistance, got smacked twice, and we'll see, but it's going to open a little lower this morning. Had a nice run, and then the green line of death comes on, and then the chances are, the probability that we're going to see it move sideways or possibly down. You do have the 9 is still a ways away, so there's some room to play in here. But again, even with sell orders above it at 34.26, we might see a pop up to that area too. But right now, we're going to open lower on silver. Bitcoin is continuing its pattern of up and then sideways, and we see this up, sideways, sideways, up, sideways again. So we're just sitting. We had a doji, have a doji right now today. Just candles of indecisions. We're right around upper 109s to 110s. Again, here's where we got to get past the all-time highs. We are seeing a little bit of the Bollinger, like we're seeing in the major indices, kind of diverge a little bit. We've also seen the MACD come back down and actually do a crossover of the MACD with the stochastic is crossed over. We've got an RSI with positive momentum over the 50 level. So again, could be consolidation till the next move, and we'll see. But it looks like the next move's probably be up, like we're seeing. And again, I'm starting to see the market structure come back, but that can change again with the tweet of an administration or riot somewhere, whatever. We're so news driven. It's amazing. Let's go to the video. Video again, right along resistance. Had a nice run. It's going to open up right about where it closed, flat oscillators. But we'll see. Again, look at the Bollingers. Where they were coming down, where we're seeing that now. We're starting to see a little bit of a movement out, and up. Google. Google kind of got into the dumpster back here, came above the 9, fought the 200, fought the 200 yesterday. We said, okay, now I did a back test of 200. It even had distributions and finished up. And then we went up, closed above the Bollinger Band. We're going to open back up below the Bollinger Band, but we have a nice run. As far as moving up, the oscillators are looking pretty good on Google, even though we're going to open up lower. Tesla, Trump and Musk are making up, not out, up. Looks like we're going to open a little bit higher above the 9 on Tesla. We do have some resistance right above it. So again, pretty sporadic between those two. The oscillators haven't told us what to do on this one yet, other than to stay out at this point. Apple.
Thank you.
Apple again, sideways. We're going to open up right below the 50. We've been having trouble getting past the 50, and we'll see if we can pop off that. We are trending along the intermediate support level, but you can see Apple, at least on the Bollinger Bands, are still converging, not diverging, like we're seeing in the other Mag 7s. Palantir. Did you guys like Palantir? Again, just sideways kind of since earnings, right along resistance. It's about where we're going to open up. Seeing a little bit of a divergence, but again, our MACD is basically still under, has not crossed back over to the positive, even though our stochastic has. We'll see. We can pop up above. You've got your resistance at the upper Bollinger, plus you've got some sell orders at 139.52. Just about, well, all of our, only 1 out of 9 of our momentum stocks now has hit the green line of resistance. The only one that's still open, I believe, if you guys follow momentum, is NASDAQ. Still no resistance, but still following the upper Bollinger. And this one is kind of nice because it just kind of rolls between the upper Bollinger and support at the 9. It did hit a little bit a week or two ago down below the 9, but still running. But this is the only one that's still not battling the resistance level. There's GE, hit resistance yesterday, went way into the 9. Again, you see the 9 come up, parallel resistance, and then you start seeing price action come down. Same thing we see in Roblox, came up. We haven't quite got parallel yet, but it's come up, hit resistance, the 9 still comes up. We'll probably see it roll over, and that you can go down and just kind of verify when you see the MACD and the slow stochastic rolling over too. And the others that were open yesterday, but now have a resistance level. Let's see here. Yeah. TSSI resistance popped on again. You'd expect it with this nice roll up, sideways movement down, comes back inside the Bollinger, went up twice, hit the sell order resistance level, came back down. You still have, you could go sideways on this for a while and it might pop up, but again, probably a good place to take little profits. momentums. You don't have much time on some of these momentums. You've got to get in and get out. You got to watch them fairly close because they move quickly up and down. Let's go over to the under the 200. Under the 200 done pretty well, and I'll show you these patterns. And these are the stocks that we're on. Whirlpool we put on, and it's done really well, and it went up 4% yesterday. Okay, you still outside the Bollinger, so you may pull back in, but you got a nice, the oscillators look good. And this is what I'm saying. We came down, we popped above the 9. We're still below the 200 because a lot of stocks are, but you have some room until you see some sell orders, and you'll have, to fight the or ride the upper Bollinger Band potentially. But Whirlpool, nice. Another one on our list, EOG. We'll just go through these. Where'd it go? Here we go. EOG will come up. Won't give me my 3. All right, we'll just do the 9 or the 6 month. That had a nice pop yesterday. We put it on the list. So, and I liked it because it jumped above the 50 and stayed above the 50. Now you've got the 9, the 20, going to do a nice golden cross over the 50. You have some momentum and you got some room to grow. But again, you're on the Bollinger. So if you try to get into these now, always try to get a better price, by maybe putting a buy order in below where we are today and maybe get a wick down and hit it. Don't get attached to it. Don't chase it. And that's how you make money. Lilly, been on our list. Lilly had a nice bump yesterday. Again, you're going to come up. You're outside the Bollinger Band, and your next level of resistance will be the 200. And we know the 200's been a pretty good resistance level for Lilly, and you've got some sell orders above that at 842. But technically, I wish we'd have found this better back here as it bounced over the 9, because here would have been a great entry. And even the oscillators told us, by the positive crossovers, this would have been a good entry, but we didn't. We got in at this point here where it wicked down, got above the 50, which was nice yesterday. And now the next level of resistance to 200. But again, you can see some variation in the price action on Lilly, but we got a nice trend, which is what we're looking at. We look for the downs, we come back up, and then we ride it as far as we want to ride. If you're in Lilly, you always have stops below at the level that you don't want to lose past, or you want to maintain your profits, and that's really up to you where that level is. Amgen, we had Amgen on the list last week. Again, nice run up on Amgen. Again, you're going to hit resistance at the 20 or at the 200 and the upper Bollinger Band. But again, still a nice run, down, up. West Pharmaceuticals, again, it was really just riding sideways, and then we saw a pop up above the 50, and now it was just riding the Bollinger Band up. Again, you got some sell orders and resistance way up there, and then you have the 200. So West could be one of those. I don't like buying outside the Bollinger Band. Try to get back in on the inside. Watch this stochastic, make sure it doesn't roll over too much. That'll mean you're going to see probably a rollover in the MACD, but right now I'm not seeing it. FMC. Again, this is another one we got in back tipped here. Just a nice ride, and we're just riding the Bollinger Band. If you got in here, always have your stops. Your stops, here's your support level. You may have a stop at the 9. You're still, above your cost basis. You can put it down at the 20, between the 20 and the 9, in case it comes down. Retest your support and it comes back up. We've seen that. Or you can take profit at any time. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Some of the ones we looked at yesterday, I won't go through all that. We talked about Albemarle. I forget how to say this, but it's been sideways for a while. And I'm starting to see these under the 200 break out. And you see, here's the 50. We got the 20 and the 9 breaking past that. So you just wait. This is kind of what we're waiting for in United Healthcare. And same thing I've been waiting and saw on Lyondale. We're seeing this pop above the 9. Came up and hit the upper Bollinger again. These are kind of parallel Bollingers, so this might just be a upper part of a continuation of a sideways pattern. So, but it looks like the oscillators are going to give us some positivity here. But you got resistance right here at 62.34 where people have sell orders. Some new ones that I've been seeing, that same kind of pattern. IQV came up above the 9. Now we got above the 50, kind of riding the Bollinger Band. We'll just go through UPS. UPS, again, you're hitting the upper Bollinger and you're seeing some sell orders right above you, but I kind of like it. You're going to have to get above this level, to keep moving up. We'll see if we can get past that, but the oscillators are looking pretty good. Of course, then you go over to FedEx, you're starting to see the same thing, except, the Bollinger Bands are not rolling up like I'd like to see. So you might have a little bit of limited upside, but you're going to have to see the Bollingers start to move, and we might. But again, I'm starting to see these starting to move up on the under the 200s. Of course, in the oil, we're seeing oil prices go up. This is APA. It came above the 9. You're still under the 200. You still have sell orders above you. CVX, these are very sensitive to news. Again, seeing a lot of this above the 50 upper Bollinger Band. I just showed you a bunch of these charts under the 200. Some room to run. This I like better because at least you're seeing a divergence in the Bollinger Bands. IPG, there's a ton of them, you guys. And IPG, it's been right under support, kind of popped up above the 9. We'll watch this, but this could be the same kind of a deal. I want to wait and see if the MACD crosses over, which it looks like it's going to, just for verification. But I'm just showing you the patterns. We talked about sideways patterns for so long and market structure, and I'm just starting to see some of this market structure change around. Okay, missed that one. OGN. These are one of those you kind of look at, and we haven't got above the 50 yet, but it kind of looks like a nice slow move up on OGN. You're seeing the Bollingers kind of move apart from each other. You're seeing the oscillators look pretty good. This could be one of those slow movers, but you are going to have resistance at the 50 if we can get past the 50. And then you'll probably see the sell orders move up. But again, these are the kind I like because you have a lot of run up to the next real serious resistance levels. When we look at just our watch list, we talked about Riot on Monday. Of course, it's following the price of Bitcoin, but it got past the 200, retested the 200. Now you're outside the upper Bollinger Band. And again, it's really tied to the price of Bitcoin, so it'll be volatile. Last week, we talked about Hershey. Hershey, did really well. We got in, had a nice candlestick, and now we've come up and we've hit resistance on Hershey. So if you're still in Hershey and you're trading it, you may want to take a little bit of a profit off of that because of the resistance line. Just a couple others on the watch list that can be Medtronic came above, retested the 200, has some room to roll up on the top. It's got some good momentum. So again, this will be your support level at the 200. And then you've got resistance up at 89.83. Again, just over the 200. Sorry about this, Trent. There were just a lot of them. I just want to get them out so people can see. Garmin has come up above the 9, above the 200, trying to ride the Bollinger Band. Resistance is up at 215.75. We're at 210 right now. Again, try to get a better price action if you can. We'll look at a few of the ones that we that are on the Discord. A lot of you guys are playing around in that's not it. CRWV. CRWV has come up, hit resistance twice. It's going to open up about where it closed. Had kind of a candle of indecision yesterday. Again, had some nice swings down to support and up, but again, resistance is there. Resistance kind of tough to get past, so just be wary of that. GEV has shown our pattern of 9 coming up, paralleling the resistance level and popping down. You can see GEV came down to find some support at the 20, but we're underneath the 9, and we're seeing the oscillators die on GEV. UNH. We're still waiting for UNH. Look at these Bollingers. You can't get much closer than that on plus or minus 2 standard deviations. It's just sideways. And I said with this pattern, we could go sideways for a while, but we're going to wait. We're going to see you've got the 20 coming down. We're going to see if we can get, like Lily and see if this rolls up. But right now, I don't see it. Those of you who are risky, you may want to get in, and try to beat it early, but it could also go down too. You could have some news come out, things we don't know about. Someone could downgrade it, and it could still go down. But right now,
It was downgraded this morning.
it was okay. Okay, well,
it didn't affect it much. It's down $1, but they did downgrade it this morning.
okay. Well, see, there you go. I mean, that's what can happen, and that's why I wait for the charts to tell me to, when to try to get back in. A few more. SJM, these guys came out, and this was an earnings report that, it was right along resistance. They came out and just got smoked. And then the other one, Intel, for some reason, I think Kerry just sold this, and then I think he sold it yesterday or the day before, and then Intel came out, and I don't know what happened to Intel. I didn't look it up, but man, it popped up quite a bit, but it went right to resistance. So again, there's just a lot out there. Chewy today has a earnings report. Okay, here's Chewy, came up, hit resistance, tried to get past. Bollinger's rolling over. 9 came up. It's going to parallel, going to come back down. You see what's happening in the price action here. So write them up as much as you can. Don't try to squeeze too much out. Once you see technicals that tell you that, maybe you should take some profit, take some off, and then you can see what happens, and then you move on. So anyway, Trent, sorry, there was a lot in there today.
It's all right, Mark. Well, I think a lot of the same, to be honest with you, when it comes to overall volatility of the market. Volatility continues to drop on the VIX down to 1645 pre-market, which, remember, market makers have to hedge their books, and they hedge them by when markets go up, or the S&P in particular goes up, they sell future contracts against the S&P, so that hedges it out. And what that does to you and I is it suppresses the volatility, and volatility can be our friend when it comes to short and intermediate term trading or investing. But right now we're continuing to see the suppression of volatility, which is creating these tops, as we're seeing in what Mark pointed out on the S&P and a handful of these other companies. And you're coming up against resistance. And so when you consider that, you're especially at the top end of something like we have recovered. For instance, let's take a look. If let's see, I find it here. So this is the S&P 500 SPY versus the VIX. You can see this correlation in that when the S&P 500 started to bottom back in April, around April 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th, volatility started to fall again. And of course, as it falls, it accelerates. In this case, it pushed, the S&P moved higher, but now we're sort of stuck in this channel again that we've been in before, back in after the election on November 6th through March 3rd, and we're back in this channel, and volatility is low again. So to get this S&P or SPY above, say, this line of, say, 210, which is, there's a lot of option action around this point of $210 on SPY, there's got to be some level, some catalyst that's going to drive this higher. And what I see in the volatility, again, as we've talked about, is as long as volatility slows, this rise overall is going to slow. And at some point, it's going to hit this resistance level at, say, 210. And something's going to have to happen. And a catalyst is going to have to push this higher. If it's a news event, if it's, enormous strong earnings, if it's a lowering of federal funds rates, it's something has to bring it. And right now, the market is basically saying, I don't know what it is. And so we're going to stay neutral in a sense. CTA funds controlled, these algorithmic driven funds that base, decisions on market risk and risk on and risk off. have all started to accumulate again and start to put risk on. Yet volatility structured funds, which base their decisions on volatility and the movement of volatility, are not making a change from a risk off to a risk on. And so this divergence, and historically hasn't happened a lot in the past, especially in the in the latest past. We're seeing this weird kind of event happening when it comes to volatility driven funds versus the CTA funds and systematic trading funds. So this brings up a what's going on kind of event. And I think this creates, once again, cautionary environment. It's great. Markets are moving higher, stocks are moving higher, but something's in the mix that isn't explainable, because typically you have these funds work together. Other thing I want to point out, and I don't want to get over everybody's head on this, but this is a great indicator of how markets are pricing in volatility. And it's called implied volatility. And that's this chart here. And this is SPY. And implied volatility is basically telling you this is what the market believes volatility will be in the near future. Okay. So this is SPY going back 6 months. And as you get, the purple line is implied volatility, and the blue line, or turquoise, I guess that is the price action of SPY. And you can see they're, in the last 6 months, they're negatively correlated. And today we see that, let's go back to actually April 8th. Implied volatility had a rank of 100, okay? And stock price on SPY is $496.48. As implied volatility rank fell, SPY started to make a move higher. And then eventually, on April 22nd, you started to see SPY make the move it's in today. Okay, so now implied volatility rank is at a very low end, and SPY is at a very high end. If you believe in mean reversion, as Jim Simons of the Renaissance Fund based his whole algorithms based on mean reversion, you would anticipate that at some point in the near future, implied volatility rank is going to revert back to its sort of mean, which probably in the last 6 months puts it right around this 40 to 50 range. Okay. So right now, we have implied volatility rank at 12.97, which tells me at some point this purple line is going to rise right back up and revert to this mean, which could do one of two things. It could drive the stock price SPY higher, or it could drive it lower. But historically, what we've seen is it's driven it lower. And that's where I look at that channel the SPY is in, as this is sort of jail in a sense. And it's going to break out if it gets over, SPY gets over $610, or it's going to break lower and try to dig out from under jail, and it's going to go south. So when you're looking at stocks and you're trying to understand where we are in this market structure, and where are we at in this cycle of an individual stock or a position. If you look at NVIDIA as an example, similar situation. Implied volatility is at 3.52. At its recovery on NVIDIA stock, when it got down to $96.30, implied volatility was at 7.45. You're seeing these opposite correlations. Sometimes they correlate together, but when you start to see divergence of these, and there is a sign of possible, reverting back to the mean. So as we're working through this period of time, especially the summer months, take into account, explore what implied volatility is doing and what it looks like on your positions. And it can give you a leading indicator of, have we topped out? in a position, especially on a short or intermediate term? Or have we bottomed out and is there opportunity to catch the upside? It's just another tool in your toolbox to make better decisions and really properly risk manage around this environment. And I truly believe the volatility world at some point is going to kick in the next 2 to 3 months. And you're going to see you're going to see volatility start jumping again. And I think you need to take that into account, especially, you get in this period of, oh, I'm winning, I'm making 2, 3, 4, 5% on a trade, this, that, and the other. It just takes one event, one news, and a movement that can rip your face off and send you back to working at McDonald's. So just be
Go
careful.
McDonald's.
Hi, welcome to McDonald's. Would you like
Yeah.
fries with that? We
That's,
don't
I'm
want to
gonna-
get in that phrase.
Yeah. I'm going to run
Right?
through a couple charts I requested before we get going. And welcome back, Dr. Jackson. I see you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. I kind of tried to catch you yesterday on the chat, and you kind of went off on right when I put on you signed off. So
Well,
anyway.
I tried to get back on, but Trent blasted me out. So
I did.
he's
But I
just
realized
being-
this
he's
morning,
just being Trent.
I'm being an ass. I'm
I have to deal with it every day. So, geez.
right.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
let's-
I'll send you a new link.
Okay, sweet. All right. It's good to have you back, David. Awesome. AES, someone asked about AES. It's on our under the 200 list where we popped down here. Had a nice run yesterday. I think it went up almost 4%, just 3.77. It's going to open up a little higher. Still got the oscillators looking good. Still got momentum looking good. So just watch out at 1177. You have some sell orders. We've seen it come up this high before. Now the upper Bollinger is still rolling, kind of converging, but as this price comes up, you're probably going to see that pop this way. And if it does, you could have a nice ride on here, but always have your sell limits on the bottom or your sell orders and trailing stops to make sure you don't lose money where your cost basis is right here. But AES looks pretty good still on our under the 200 list. Oh, Irene, I was going to do this one. They just have so many stocks to show. I can't get them all. Irene had a nice pop up above the 200. Again, it followed kind of the Bitcoin run up yesterday to
Bitcoin.
110. And but you see you got some resistance at 1068 and then at 1089 you got some sell orders. So we can see it pop maybe through there. Depending on what Bitcoin does today, right now it's moving sideways. And then you might find some resistance here. So if you have some money in, you might want to take some off and and take your profits off or take your principal off, let your profits run, or just take your profits. But it was a nice run, especially once we got past the 200.
Too
And then
late
we
now, Trent or Mark.
Yeah.
Iron, they took on debt last night, so the stock
really?
dropped. Yeah.
Yeah. There you
But-
go. So
The good news is it has nothing to do with dilution of shares of stock. So you
So
could
they're
see
not-
a pop
so they're
down,
not-
which would be a nice entry point.
so they're not issuing shares, basically.
No,
you're telling
they're
me.
not issuing
Okay.
shares. They just took
Good.
on debt.
Good. Okay. But debt is debt, but still, be careful, be cautious of that. And those are the things that will make markets move up or down. And we'll see how it does today. But right now we're looking at a little bit of resistance above, and we're above the upper Bollinger Band. It was a nice run up. Don't be afraid to take profits. Rambus kind of looks like Irene a little bit. It's been over the 200 for a while. And again, we're right up against resistance, riding the upper Bollinger Band, and right above resistance at 6111. You have some sell orders. So if you were in this and you have some good profits, maybe time to take a little bit off the table just because of resistance above you. Again, we'll see. But that's what I got. I don't think I have anything else to look at right now. So we'll go back
Here's
to.
Mark?
Here's
Oh, sorry.
go ahead. Here's a chart that I see of Irene. This is big block of red is where historically the cells have been sitting. So this is a pretty hefty wall. But it looks as though you have support more buyers right around that 200, which is that red line. So It looks like it's going to open up at around $10 this morning. So it could be an opportunity. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, Mark or friends or whoever here. When you are up in any stock, for example, and you have to set up your trading stop, which is the best way that you set up that? So which is the tool that you use to try to set up a good trading stop and try to keep going until the price go down?
Oh, was that for Trent or for me?
Whoever. I don't care.
I was sorry. I was answering the
Yeah,
chat.
yeah,
So
yeah.
can you say
Yeah,
that? Can you repeat it unless Trent has the as Trent
yes,
Go ahead.
yes. For example, I am in AS corporation, and so when you are up, for example, I get share for $10.96.
Okay.
So which is the best way that you can tell me that I can set up my trading stop? So I was using ATR indicator, but I don't know if it's the best way to do it.
So
If you
you
have, Mhm.
so you're in AES is what you're saying.
Yes.
And what's your cost basis? What'd you get in at?
$10.96.
I'm going to move this line to where you are.
Okay.
Okay. So you're up. You're 1096 right now, 1129. So you're up, 30 some cents right now on that. You still have some room to go up. So I look at this and, if you don't want to lose any money, you see you've hit this line 1, 2, 3 times about that. So, I mean, there's depending on your risk, you could just you could do a trailing stop. Okay, you go into your order tickets and you do trailing stop, and you can do it by percentage or you can do it by dollars. Like 50 cents, 25 cents, whatever. Uh, Limits, you can do limits, sell limits, where if you wanted to do a sell limit, you could say, well, I'm going to put it, above where my cost basis is, so I don't lose money. If it actually comes down, but you may come down and like it did yesterday, and it actually went down and hit through your cost basis and then went back up. So sometimes you want to put it
Good
below
morning.
there just to prevent that from happening.
Good morning.
But
How's it going?
anyway,
Go ahead.
You have profit now. And so the key is don't lose that profit and decide what your risk is to the downside. And again, you could, if you put it right at above your cost basis, you could get a wick down and taken out, but you still make a little profit. Or you can put in a trailing stop, which will say, okay, wherever this is, let's say right here, we closed at 1129. Maybe you put 20 cents in there. I'm just making it up. Okay. Don't do what I say. I'm just, and so it would have to go down to 1129 or 11,909 to hit that. And it would sell, at 1109. Or if it went up, okay, let's say it went up to $12, okay, then your next stop, it would move your stock up to 1180. Okay. So it would keep moving up as you move up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is a good way because I was using ATR to see which was the volatility about the shares, and from there say, okay, I'm going to put one ATR like a point in my trading stop, or 50% of my ATR has a point in my trading stop. I was doing that. I don't know if it's the best way.
Well, it's a way that you feel comfortable with. The best way is the way you feel comfortable with and what you want to potentially gain and not lose. So
Okay.
some people are riskier. Some people say, I'll go 5% down of my cost basis, on especially on volatile stocks, and others they'll say, for me, I don't like going any further than 2 to 3%. I don't like to lose any more than that. That's just me, on the downside. And
Okay.
I can make that up on the upside on other trades.
Okay.
Does
Thank
that
you.
make sense? Does that make sense, Julian?
Yes, for
Okay,
sure.
good.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, no problem.
I posted a video yesterday on the Discord. It's an interview with he's a legendary trader. You see him on the New York Stock Exchange floor. He's an older guy with gray hair and it sort of poofs out. And he's talking about how the psychology of trading and how to place stops, how he places stops, especially if you're day trading, and how to psychologically manage that. It's under, I think, where did I put it? But I thought it was a brief video. It was really interesting, but I thought it was, to address your, you know, your thinking, is
Mm-hmm.
where do you feel comfortable losing money?
I don't feel
If you
comfortable
lost
losing it.
1%, 2%, 5%, are you okay with that? And
Right.
then
Okay.
just do it. And then if you get stopped out and you lose 2% or whatever the amount is, you go on to the next trade. And it's I think I put it in the chat, the platinum chat yesterday. But it's something
Uh,
to think about.
okay. So I will take that video, Trent. So thank you so much. Is in Platinum chat.
Yeah, it's it,
The
yeah,
platinum Discord.
Yeah. If I can find it, I'll put it
Okay.
I'll put it up on a link to it. But it just really you got to determine how much you're okay with losing. If you're a long-term investor and it's got a 30-day standard price movement deviation of, say, like Nvidia is like, right, 3-4%, you can expect it to move 3-4% in a day. So if you put your stop, say, at 5% below your cost, your entry point, you're not going to, historically, that 30-day average is not going it's not going to get any lower than 30. Now, a big event could cause it, like Nvidia's up, what, a couple bucks today or a dollar something today, but I think it just comes down to what can you handle when it comes to losing, and it's a psychological game. And in the video, he talks about taking profits as well, and that is he uses $100 stock price, and or was it 100, no, it's $10, but if it goes up 50 cents, you move your stop right up to, you move your stop loss right up to it, so that way you preserve the profit you got. It's just a system. But anyways, I'll find the video. He explains it way more elegantly than I can, but it just hit me. I was like, wow, that's really a good message overall
Yeah.
for people to
Yeah,
look
I mean,
at.
Yeah.
you
Yeah. My
want to
question
take.
was. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Julian.
Yeah. My question was because sometime in past trade, I was up and I put a trailing stop and I get out of a share. But after that, 2 days after, or maybe the next week, it's like the share go up $1 or $2. And so I
Well,
was thinking, yeah,
that's psychology, and you got to get that out of
that's
your head.
psychology.
You got to
Okay,
get that out
okay.
of your head and say, okay, I'm happy with what I made, because that will happen to you. You can't beat yourself up. That's why you have a trading plan. And Margaret was talking about, her her her, her feelings about how she trades, and I was going to write her back and say, write that down because that's your trading plan, Margaret. And follow your trading plan. And even we're not looking to hit the tops and the bottoms. We're looking to get singles and doubles and bunch. Get on first and second and take your profits. That's what swing trading is about. Okay.
Okay,
Get right.
okay.
That's psychology, Julian. That
Mm-hmm.
trader psychology it'll kill you if you worry about, oh man, I lost 25 cents on this trade, even though you gained 18 cents. Okay.
Right,
You
right.
just don't worry about it. Maybe you catch it again. I know Margaret's been in and out of some different ones, and that's she swing in and swing out based on technicals, and that's fine, you know. So
Yeah, I was
never,
trying to understand that
yeah.
on me.
Yeah, I never, I was in one the other day. I was there was some Bitcoin related one, and I got out, and it was a smaller stock, and I got out and I made 45 cents on it, and I trade higher number of shares. But then the next day it went up $3, but
Yeah,
you can't focus on it, it
yeah,
hit my it, yeah.
one of them was Navadas that I was going out at $5 and now it's $8. And
Yep.
but I was thinking about our trading plan and the resistance level, and I was reading news that it's going to be pullback because what FOMO, And yeah, now it was $8 and say, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong, and I was trying to check it out.
Did you make money on it?
Yeah, yeah,
There you go. Okay. That's what I focus on. I mean, but learn from that. You know, look at that trade and say, what could I have done better? Or did I do the best I could with my plan? And maybe you adjust your plan based on it. You know, plans are not static. They're constantly being evolved into how you trade. And, you know, especially the way the markets change, you know, and we've had a really change in the markets with all this news driven uh, mumbo jumbo that we've had to deal with. It's really taken our market off of the structure that we normally have. So I think
You know,
you're learning, Julian, and
yeah,
you're doing good.
yeah.
what
Thank you.
one other way to look at this whole thing is it's about, if you work for a job, a company, and you get paid X number of dollars a year. So let's say you make 60,000 a year, 5,000 a month gross, right? You can break that down to how much you make a day, right?
Right,
And some people are happy with that amount, and some people aren't happy with the amount. And with this, you can you can influence how much you make on a daily basis. And if you say, okay, I just want to make $100 a day, which would be $500 a week, which would be $2,000 a month. How cool would that be to drop $24,000 in your household income a month or a year, right? That'd be a
right,
good feeling, right? So
right.
instead of looking at a position from a standpoint of how much will I percentage gain in it, how much what's it from the standpoint, sorry,
Uh-oh.
um,
Uh-oh.
how much did I make today?
The camera
Does that
froze.
make sense? If my goal is to make $100 a day, once I made my $100, I shut the thing off and I walk away, right? Or it's 500. I knew a guy when I lived in Boulder, Colorado in the 90s. He was an ex hedge fund trader, and he said, this is the way you make money in the market. You designate how much you want to make a day, and you look and you do the research and you set yourself up to make that money. And the minute you make that money, you take it, pocket it, shut the computer off, and go out for a hike. And that was how he lived. And he said, I learned that from sitting on a trading floor, and that's what they taught me. Make money every day. Don't get greedy. Look at it from the standpoint of, how do I pay my electric bill today? If it's $100 for my electric bill, if I can make that, boom, that's covered for the month. How much is my mortgage? Okay. How much is my rent? Boom, boom. And you just break it down to that kind of approach. Then all of a sudden you look at it at the end of the week and say, oh, I made $500. Sweet. Right? Instead of,
Right.
oh, I made X percentage on a stock. I mean, who gives a shit, right? What you care about is putting money in your bank account. How much money do you need to make a day? How do you do it? And you get better at that. And as you make more money, you can up that amount each day. And some traders, I knew of a guy in Denver back in the 90s. His goal was to make 5 grand a day. Okay, 5 grand a day. He usually made it in the first 30 minutes of the day, and he was out. He was done. I mean, think about that. That's where this can escalate to.
Right.
So look, how do you put more money in your pocket versus, oh, I could have rode that out, or I could have done this and gained another 15% on a stock or something.
Yeah.
Um,
The other
so
side
just an
trend
idea.
is no, don't let a trade get away from you either, Julian, where you're down, you know, you're like down 3%, now you're down 5%, now you're down 20%, then you're underwater and it's hard to get that back. You know, so have your downside too, because the other side of what Trent says on the upside making it, the other
Yeah.
side is limit the downside, you know, put a floor in, and this is all I'm gonna
Right.
lose.
Right.
I
Right.
posted that
Right.
video in my office on the Discord, and he's setting stops at 1%, but they're day trading,
Day trading is
right?
different. Yeah. Yep.
It's different.
Yeah.
So if you're swing trading, you got to determine, look at where that figure that out and set your stops, and don't blink when they get stopped out. I mean, it just is what it is.
Right.
The other
Okay.
thing, the other thing I do, Julian, is I log every single trade I do, so that I can go back over history and look at what I've done. And I'll put a note in there too if I did something wrong. So I manually do that because I'm old school, but I have a couple of these logs for my life that I've just logged trades, and that way you can go back and say, oh crap, I've done that before and it's bad, or also put in notes, get out before it hits this level, and I look at it every day, and then
I'm impressed.
what I do, and I move.
Well, you
I'm
think
impressed
about
with your
that,
logging.
You think
Thank you so
about
much,
that.
Don't you do that too?
No, that the fact that you're on paper, it's pretty cool. I mean, I do it on something like this,
Right.
a spreadsheet. I don't know if
Yeah,
you guys
that's
can
good
you see
too.
this?
Yeah.
I got an ongoing spreadsheet I don't know if you
See,
can.
and
It's
I,
just
and
a
you have,
spreadsheet.
and I think you have to, because that kind of gives,
We all
that
got
kind of,
one.
that resets you, and then it keeps you on a path, which is right a part of your trading plan, and no one, and everyone that has a business like Bob, his stuff, all his financials and criticals he looks at them every day, I bet, just key performance indicators, I
Yeah,
would assume, Bob.
and be very honest with you, I really don't have to look at them that closely. I've got it down, to a science at this
Right.
point. I know when I'm going to have a problem or not before it happens.
Because you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
do it for 40 years. In the first few years, I'm sure you were looking at it, differently. You're a
Hey,
master of it.
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, Bob's only 39, so it's not
Yeah.
40
Yeah.
years.
That's a
He's a
dog years.
young youngster. So maybe in the last 10 years, right?
I'd have to guess you're in the business 40 years.
Thank you.
How long have you
Thank
been
you.
doing it?
I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you.
All right. Well, yeah, you look, but he's got his black shirt on, so we don't know what that means.
He's
I want to
looking
get to
good.
Patrick because Patrick did a good job. We sent Patrick to the China-U.S. Negotiations, and he's got him to agree on something. So good job, Patrick.
Well, what I'm hearing is the framework hasn't been decided yet, and because the Chinese are being a bit stubborn, so that's why there's been silence. There's been no confirmation yet.
Over here, they're saying it has been outlined.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
a handshake with it.
they're saying over here that it's going nowhere, and they're trying to put a bit of a spin on it, but that's why there's been silence. But anyway, what I want to talk about today is that Texas Roadhouse stock, TXRH. It's in a cup and handle sort of formation at the moment, and it's near a buy point of $199.99. I'm just wondering, Mark, what you think of this setup?
What's the symbol again?
TXRH.
RH. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Texas Roadhouse.
Let's take a look at Texas Roadhouse.
Mhm.
I haven't eaten at those places in a long time.
Me too.
I think you used to be able to throw your peanuts all over the floor in there, didn't you? Or
Yeah.
was that somewhere else?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all the sawdust.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Texas Roadhouse. It's that pattern when we come up and we hit resistance, we went sideways, and then the 9 came up, paralleled the resistance level, and it looks like a couple of the charts we looked at right now. Oscillators are down. Had a nice run up though. Here we had earnings back here on the 8th of May, $1.70. And now it ran its course, and now I'm seeing a
It'll be
declining
heading
9,
down.
declining 20. I'm seeing the oscillators down. So let's look at your other one here. Go ahead.
Texas Roadhouse is probably going to decline in earnings per share because my son-in-law and daughter haven't been eating there for this past quarter. So,
and
and
then
it
the
looks-
others.
It looks a lot like
he
your
eats a lot.
your
So,
MELI too, Patrick.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not it's not in a good position really.
It had a great run though. You got to give it that, because you gave this stock to us when it was $1,900, and it came up, and if you would have wrote it just to resistance, that was $2,500.
Mhm.
So that was a nice run, Patrick. So never be greedy and never fall in love with a stock.
QUBT.
QUBT. This sounds like a quantum stock to me.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Well, okay. This one looks better than the last two we looked at.
Jensen,
I had a nice wick up. Something happened, but
Jensen
riding the upper
spoke about it.
Bollinger.
Jensen.
What's it?
Jensen.
Jensen
came
did?
out. Yeah.
Okay. As long as you get in and ride between the support and resistance, it's at the upper level right now. But
Yeah, you're at the top.
yeah, but you got some room. You got, sell orders aren't till 1662, and then you got resistance. So, I mean, if you could come in and catch a price down by support, like in this area, and then ride it back up to the Bollinger,
I'm
Yeah.
I'm looking to learn more about them. I haven't spent time, but I'm going to spend time this weekend learning more about quant because it's going to be the next level.
I think that and the AI and the blockchain all together are they're all going to circle into to merging together at some point. I don't know how yet, but I just feel
Yeah.
it,
But you're going to need quant for AI.
But according
Yeah.
to the experts now, it's 20 years away before it's full completed because there's an umpteen amount of technical complications that would prevent it from accelerating in development at the moment.
I don't know if I believe that because at the speed they're moving right now with AI, they're going to need that a lot faster.
I don't think you compare quantum with GPU. I don't think it's in a different classification really to the GPU advancement.
I don't disagree. It's definitely in its own class.
I just posted Jensen Young's article on his comments about quantum computing from CNBC. I posted it on the chat, so check
Okay.
that out.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting world we live in, and it just changes so much, and it's never boring. Like Trent and I, by the time Friday gets here, we just before the meeting or after, we have 3 meetings on Friday, and we're just exhausted. Like, oh my God, thank God it's the weekend.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I was working on Claude yesterday about creating a back testing program for the 12 portfolio that I've created. And I spent like an hour and a half just going back and forth trying to get it to work out, give me the framework and create the program to do it. And I'm sitting there, and granted, I wasn't able to totally complete it, but it was just interesting to me how all of a sudden I don't have to go out and learn a programming language to actually do this. I just need to figure out how to ask it in the right way and how to give it my process, and then give it the data, source for the data. And I think that's, to your point, Bob, this is accelerating fast, and the more and more people understand that, the faster this is going to accelerate. And I think we're just all of a sudden we're in that jet stream, and it's just picking up speed.
Right. So I wanna disperse a little bit around now and just wait.
Yep. We had a question about Roblox, and Roblox had a nice run. It was on our momentum list, and then hit some resistance, and now we're seeing it's having a little trouble. So we put it on the list back in this area. It's had a nice run. Once resistance come on, for me personally, I take my money and go buy a beer with it. Again, we're seeing the 9 come up along the resistance level, same pattern we've seen a lot. And if this can't get past that, I mean, it could bounce up and hit the upper Bollinger, but again, we'll see. But it looks like I would take a little money off. No, not financial advice, but again, we're at the top at this point, unless something can move Roblox further at this point. And it could happen, but the probability is not. So hopefully I answered your question. It's on that. Okay.
Hey, David, are you gonna host a Morning Edge meet up there in at Texas Roadhouse anytime soon?
I'll have to try and do that. I'll next time I'm in there, I'll take a picture of my my little rolls with that butter they have that they're so famous for.
I'm gonna
Well,
after
I'm
that
only
I'm gonna
60
go take a
Kentucky Fried
cholesterol
Chicken?
medicine.
I'm only 60 miles away from there. I may join you, David.
Yeah, if we get there before 5 o'clock, you get the 6-ounce sirloin special. So,
See you, Scott.
Oh,
Scott's
hey.
taking off. See you later, Scott. Yeah. Yep. That'd be a good time. I still think we need to have a Platinum Channel cruise somewhere, even if it's in a lazy river somewhere like in Disney or something.
That'd be cool.
So,
Whoa, Palantir just took off.
All right.
Nice bounce.
Well, we're at the market open. Any last and final words?
Yeah, it's Father's Day this weekend. All the fathers, make sure you have a good time that day.
yeah,
Good
enjoy
point.
yourselves. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't get too many crazy ties.
Crazy
I haven't
ties.
gotten a tie
Well,
in
that's what
years.
I
fathers
haven't gotten a
back,
tie. I haven't gotten a tie in 30 years.
back in my day. That's what dad always got a tie, you know, or
I
guy.
got a
Well,
story
you
about
wear a
Father's
tie
Day.
while you're out in the fields.
My dad wasn't a farmer. He was an accountant. Someone
I
had
got
a
a story about Father's Day. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So there's this lady that has 10 kids, and she's all by herself, and she needed some financial assistance. So she went in, and social worker said, "Well, you can have all you want because you're by yourself with these 10 kids." And so she pulled out a piece of paper and said, "I just need the names of your kids." And so I said, "What's the name of your oldest?" And she said, "Named Leroy." And so the social worker wrote down Leroy, and then, "What's the name of your second kid?" And she said, "Leroy." And so anyway, this went on. So all of her kids are named Leroy, and the social worker says, "That's got to be awful confusing when you want them." And she goes, "No." The mother said, when I want them to come in for supper, I just say, "Leroy, come in." And they all come running in. And the social worker said, "Well, what if you want just one certain one?" And she kind of smiled and said, "Oh, well, then I call them by their last name."
Oh,
Oh,
God.
oh, that's
okay.
All
We
right.
just added a new
You just
sector.
made our day.
The comedy minute has
that,
now been added to the daily morning edge.
that joke must have come out of Alabama. So anyways. All right. Well, thank you all for participating. Welcome back, David, Dr. Jackson,
Dr.
and
Johnson.
we hope to see you.
Send me that link because you know me,
I-
I'm going to be in channels during the day.
Well, I put it.
You guys
Look in
need
the
to
chat.
talk. David is very good to talk to.
I sent you a link in the chat.
In the chat.
Yeah.
In today's chat.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
There it is.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you, everyone.
hanging out.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye.
Yeah, we'll see you guys.
Quantum.
You got it, David?
No.
It should be.
I'm trying to find it too.
There we go. Way
I
up
directed it directly to you.
there. Okay.
Don't see it yet.
Let me post it again.
Why do you want to join our server?
You see it?
There it is. I see it, the Discord one. He just put it on. See at the bottom there, David?
Yeah, I clicked the link. Now I'm trying to get in.
Okay.
They're making
Hold on,
me answer questions.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't want just anyone in there.
No, we don't.
How long have you been a doctor, Mr. Jackson?
I haven't. Oh, 69 years.
Interesting.
So, David, it doesn't look like you moved yet.
Nope.
Is that still in process?
Next month.
Okay.
Okay.
Where are you
so now
moving
they're
to?
finally going to let me get back in here. So let me see if Best of Us comes up on my list of.
I think he's moving closer to
There we
Tampa.
go.
You got it?
All right. We are in Finish. Let's see here. Let's go. All right, we got it back.
He's
Awesome.
back, baby.
Thank you.
So now I'll
He's
go
got
back.
his off. He's got his office back.
I got my office back.
All right.
Now
All
you'll
right.
have daily traders.
Yep. Good.
All
I
righty.
missed talking to you, David. So I'll jump on there a little bit.
All right.
All
See you
right.
guys.
All right. You guys have a great day. See
All
you.
right. See you guys. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Live loud.